The entertainment business has a lot of roles that people feel like they can just wake up and do, but oftentimes there's a lot of behind-the-scenes work involved. In this installment of the Bizz Plan, we speak with writer-producer Lena Waithe as she explains how she develops projects to their fullest potential.
Oftentimes when people say, like, how did you get started writing? Or how did you get started producing? I don't know if I believe in that. I think that you just organically start to do. I can't really pinpoint the day I started writing. I've just always been writing. Producing, I think, is a little different for me because I distinctively remember having lunch with Justin Simeon, who's the writer-director of Dear White People, on the Paramount lot. He was working in publicity there. I was a writer's assistant on The Game, and we both were sort of like, we had this fire in our bellies. And I remember saying, yo, what happened to that script you wrote about the black kids that went to the white school? And I just remember saying to him, well, if you go and rewrite it, if you really pick it up again and keep going with it, he already had 2 producers attached at the time, but I was like, I'll help you produce it. Not knowing what that meant, not knowing what a producer even did. It's still a hard thing to define what a producer does, but I just remember I want to help get this story told. And that's really the nuts and bolts of what a producer, at the root, that's what a producer is. And so I remember saying it that day, him nodding and saying, okay. And I sort of got brought onto the producing team that he sort of already had in place. And that to me is really when I began producing. And then ever since, I've just always been a person that can kind of pull different people and put them in a room and make something happen. Even when I do table reads, whether they be for the table read series or when I'm just trying to help somebody workshop their material, that's a production in itself. What makes someone a writer is how dedicated they are to the craft. There's a lot of people that say they're writers, they hand me scripts, I read them, and I go, how far are you willing to go to make this script that's not really that good into something that's really great? And that's the difference between somebody who is a writer and who isn't. They need to build that creative community like I did and just go out to networking events and mixers and panels and shake hands with the person sitting next to them rather than bum rushing the panelists after it's done. Because the truth is you may be sitting next to someone who's in the same boat as you, who's like, I'm an aspiring writer. I'm just beginning. I'm not a great writer yet, but I want to get there. You want to be with people like you so that way you guys can write material, read each other's material, and give each other really good feedback. And before you know it, and that's sort of like really what writers groups are. And that's where Justin and I met. Justin and I met in a writers group. The script probably won't be good more often than not, but that's just the process. When you write something down the first time, unless you're one of maybe 3 people in the entire world, chances are it's not going to be great. So what it means to be a writer is to give that script to other writers and people that know something about writing and get feedback from them, get constructive criticism. And then you take that criticism, you go back in and you kind of start from square one and you repeat that process again and again. And then eventually, hopefully you'll get the script to a place where you can call in some actors, you can do a table read for it, you have some writers come and listen to it, they give you feedback, you go and do another rewrite. And the truth is this process takes years. Some people it takes, a decade. I mean, the truth is writing is a process. And there are very few people that want to be a part of that process. The reason why in this town there's more bad scripts than there are good is because we have people that call themselves writers but don't want to do the work that being a writer entails. There's a book I use, and Justin introduced me to it, which is a book called Save the Cat, written by Blake Snyder. There's 3 different versions of Save the Cat, which is the original. There's Save the Cat Goes to the Movies, which is my favorite, where Blake Snyder uses actual movies as examples to break down the different categories to kind of help you figure out how to write your story. And then there's Save the Cat Strikes Back, which sort of deals with more sort of like technology and how the business is changing. So that's where I start. That's my starting point with the feature. With TV, in pilots, there's really no blueprint. It's really, you can kind of do a ton of things. But honestly, I always start with, what is this world? Why are we dropping into these characters' lives now? And who are these characters? There are a lot of people that sort of say to me, oh, you made it, oh, you've done it, you sold a couple things. I mean, to me, I don't even think that making it exists. It's like, I want to be a person that has the luxury of turning work away, that has the luxury of turning things down, I think somebody said that that's really making it, where you can like be really choosy. For me, it's about getting the material out. So I still feel like I'm on the cusp. I still feel like Kanye a couple weeks before he dropped, College Dropout. And I'm just really open to, what this town has to offer. But I'm still in the lab, creating characters and figuring out different interesting worlds to play with, reading a bunch of books, watching a bunch of documentaries, just sort of keeping myself fed and being inspired. I'm Lena Waithe, and this is my Bizz plan.